Do you think that China will rule the world after COVID-19?
There's a lot of speculation about that. It's been going on for decades, incidentally. You can read articles in the major U.S. Journals of International Affairs 20 years ago saying that China and India are going to be the dominant powers in the world. I don't believe that for a minute. If it ever happens, it'll be way off. President Trump has severely harmed the United States. There's no question about that. But even Trump's wrecking ball can't change the fact that the United States is the overwhelmingly dominant power in the world for many fundamental reasons. For one thing, the United States has advantages that no one else comes close to. Huge territory, pretty homogeneous. You can fly 3,000 miles and it looks like the place you came from. People speak the same language. They go to the same stores and so on. Huge agricultural resources, not duplicated anywhere. Mineral resources, enormous security beyond anything anyone can dream of. Controls the whole hemisphere, controls the oceans, controls the air, and dominates most of the rest of the world. The military expenditures are greater than the next practically dozen powers combined, much more sophisticated. Now, the US is the only country in the world that can issue sanctions against others. And when the United States issues sanctions, everyone has to follow them. Otherwise, they get thrown out of the international financial system. We're seeing that dramatically right at this moment. Right now, the United States is trying to get the United Nations to renew the sanctions against Iran. Everyone is opposed. They're afraid to vote against the United States. That's too dangerous. There's a maniac on the loose. You don't want to anger him. So they abstain. The United States went to the Security Council to try to get support from this, got one vote. Colombia, Dominican Republic, the island off the United States. They voted with the United States, nobody else. It's now coming with an effort to renew it. Again, it'll turn out the same. Nobody will support it, but they won't do anything about it. So Europe hates US sanctions against Iran. But are they going to do anything about it? They've made some gestures, but they can't anger the United States. It's too powerful and too violent. That's dominance. There's no other. Take, say, Israel-Palestine. It's very striking what happened there. The Trump administration came out with what they call the greatest deal of the century, written by Benjamin Netanyahu, handed to Jared Kushner, released by the White House. If any other country had come out with that proposal, you know what it is, people would have laughed. If they'd even paid attention, they would have laughed. When the US does it, everyone observes it. So the commentary immediately after was, well, this is the new situation, and how can we accommodate to it? That's the kind of power that you just don't see anywhere. There's nothing closely to approaching it anywhere. Now, China does have a growing economy. It's developing, and it's not just, at the beginning, it was just kind of assembling things for Western corporations. Now it's moving into high-tech areas. But it's nothing like the United States. If you take a look at the Human Development Index of the United Nations, China ranks around 90th. India maybe 130th. They have severe internal problems that the more developed countries don't have. Incidentally, is not much time to go into history, but this is not because of, this is because of very specific developments. European imperialism. You go back couple of centuries, China and India were the industrial, commercial centers of the world. What happened? European imperialism, which smashed them, stole their higher technology, deindustrialized them, undermined their societies and civilizations. Now they're trying to catch up, but it's going to be a long process. Enormous internal problems that the West doesn't have. Even more serious ones. Take India. If current energy programs persist, most of India will be uninhabitable in a couple of decades. The temperatures are already reaching 50 degrees centigrade in some places. It's basically unlivable. And it's going to continue. Take Bangladesh. The last figures I heard, about a third of Bangladesh was underwater with severe weather events and rising seas. Remember that the capital of Bangladesh was the richest place in the world when Robert Clive, British explorer, landed there. Couldn't believe the wealth and opulence of what's now Bangladesh, East Bengal. Well, what happened?